Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between ESC's Jung and Flutter here on Lost Temple. Now, both of these players I am not too familiar with. I believe this is the first time I've cast any one of their games, so we'll see if these games are any interesting and if I should knock them off my list of potential players that I want to shoutcast. Flutter now moving out with this Overlord will be able to quickly find Jung spawning over here at the 1 o'clock position. This is a Zerg versus Protoss matchup here on Lost Temple with Jung spawning as the teal or sky blue, I'm going to call him teal, yeah, the teal Protoss player over here at the 1 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Flutter spawning over here at the 3 o'clock position as the red Zerg. We do see a pylon now being placed down, pretty standard. Probably we'll see a gateway position here or even here to try to hold with one zealot. Any sort of Zergling run by. We did see the extractor trick coming in from Flutter as Flutter now moves out with this drone. So that drone going to start doing some scouting as well. We'll see what this Overlord does spot. And yeah, the Overlord, it does spot it. However, he does not want to try to hide the fact that he knows where he is. Just going to move straight over with that Overlord. Overlord just going to come into here as a drone now going to make its way over. So not 100% sure what the drone's going to be doing. We do have a gateway now being warped in as well. So no chance of any sort of pylon play, a pylon denial over here. We do see one probe now making its way out, and now we see this drone coming in. That drone going to start pecking away at this pylon. That pylon, however, does have a significant amount of shields, so we'll be able to take a lot of that damage and then just recharge itself. Back over here, we see the probe now coming into the base. Does not see any sort of hatchery over here, as now we have the spawning pool coming into position. So the spawning pool means that we will have some early Zerglings without the metabolic boost, as we do not yet have an extractor. So this is a little bit of a surprise as an Overlord now continue to move out. That drone trying to just dodge that SCV, and just dancing back and forth with that one unit. Are we going to get another cybernetic, or the cybernetics core in just a moment? Are we going to train a zealot? Too hard to say, as the Nex is still training up an additional probe over here. And now it looks as though, yes, the cybernetics core now being warped in. That drone trying to get in a couple quick hits, just dancing around back and forth. We do see a probe denying Flutter's drone of any sort of hatchery attempt, and that is going to be very annoying. And now Jung just moving around with that probe and unable to get any quick kills there. And now that probe down to 6 hit points. And Flutter able to finally grow up into a hatchery. We do see an extractor now being placed down over here to deny any sort of gas, and now constantly canceling it and then rebuilding it. Back over here, that zealot's going to start making its way over, and now a second zealot also being trained up. That one extractor should be able to take the damage from one zealot without getting torn apart there. And yeah, it is going to be able to heal up a little bit more quickly there, and now continuing to heal back up. A second zealot, however, now coming in to join in on this fight. The second zealot now coming in to join on this fight, and now that zealot, however, able to hold off against any sort of just pressure, but a third zealot will need to be trained. So that's interesting, because Flutter has these drones over, or these Zerglings over here. Oh, Flutter not continuing with that denial, coming back over here, and a probe able to finally put an assimilator on there. So this drone still getting plenty of sight in the base. Flutter over here nearing completion on this hatchery, and wow, nearing completion on this hatchery, and now finally getting gas. APMs, I just decided to pull them up to see what exactly they've been doing. So the APMs are in the mid 200s, so they are fairly decent players if you just look at APM wise. But now this is going to be a 2-gate into a robo facility as Jung continues to just train up more and more probes. Taking a look at the production count, we see Jung sitting on 23 harvesters compared to Flutter's 20, but no real drones have been lost so far. So I'm not exactly sure how exactly ESC does not have that many probes. It could be that he just constantly is getting supply locked time after time. Yeah, currently supply locked at 34/34. Will not be able to train any additional probes until this pylon finishes warping in. And he is also running off of a serious number of gateways. A warp gate nearing completion, and he may be going for mass zealots and sentries. So he will have a very, very strong 4-gate push in just a moment. I'm expecting to see some sort of pylon over here to warp in units, and then perhaps even position a pylon into these locations in just a moment. These units will be pushing out, chrono boosting to get that last warp gate. So this is not a 4-gate. This will be an observer. So this will be a 3-gate with a robotics facility in order to perhaps get some immortals. Back over here, we do see a spine crawler now coming into position. So that spine crawler now coming into position, and we see a pylon being placed down by ESC Jung. This game is still anyone's at this stage. Not quite sure what exactly Flutter can do with this army. A very, very small army so far, as both sides trying to set up economically speaking, we do see what sentries and zealots sitting over here. These sentries and zealots will be able to protect this expansion very easily. Sentries helping those zealots be able to get 2 rounds of attack and kill 1 zergling. Back over here, Flutter is still having pretty decent map control, knowing exactly where his opponent is. SC Jung just sitting in his base with limited sight and limited resources at this time. Back over here, we now continue to see more units being produced, and we are now getting an immortal. So an immortal now being trained, another pylon being warped in over here, as we have 1 observer here. So this observer just scouting inside the base of Flutter. Flutter now getting a strong economic advantage, 1200 versus 840, as a second extractor now going up. So we are going to be running off of 3 extractors and perhaps even 4 in just a moment. We are upgrading the tier 2 and getting the evolution chamber. I'm not exactly sure what Flutter is expecting to do with that evolution chamber. Spore crawlers are not needed just quite yet. Perhaps you just want weapons or the missile attack upgrade. Zerglings sitting over here, probes now being transferred over, and both players just resigning to playing a game of sim StarCraft, building up their bases, trying to get a very, very strong economy going, and then perhaps win the war of attrition. Observer continuing to move around over here. I do not see any overseers just quite yet, so that observer will be able to just constantly spot this without any real issue. We do see what the evolution chamber not researching anything else at this time, and now in comes this overseer. Overseer moving a little bit as slowly as that observer, but that observer able to pull back. Back over here, we see 1 overlord in this position, another pylon now being warped in, as we are getting the 4th gateway. So 3 stalkers now being warped in as well. We do have 3 immortals, and the army of ESC Jung now growing very, very rapidly, as he will be able to just continue to warp in more and more units. We do have a contaminate, so that warp gate unable to warp in anything currently at this time, and also unable to get that cooldown. Back over here, we now see the zerglings and the zealots moving out, and a pylon being placed down in the middle of this fight, or in the middle of this walkway, in order to be able to warp in units and close the walking distance between these 2 sides. Another pylon going to be placed down over here just before the creep tumors are able to come into position. So creep tumors now getting torn apart here. Is it going to be enough? There are a lot of immortals. Zerglings now coming in. Queens coming in as well. Roaches trying to fight. In come those force fields. So beautifully done, making it a very, very narrow fighting point here, and so many range units. Those roaches unable to escape that fight, and yeah, Flutter is going to have a very, very difficult time. There is 1 spine crawler trying to hold off this whole entire engagement here, but more force fields can be continued to throw down, and this last spine crawler will get taken down as a force field now placed down on the ramp. Beautifully done. And Flutter has to say GG. ESC Jung just making Protoss look so easy, and I expect that just a good game, well played, macroing up a 3 gate with the robotics facility, getting that last 4th warp gate, warping in units, and constantly just getting a stronger and stronger economy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this rather one-sided battle between Flutter and ESC Jung here on Lost Temple.